We are talking about how to help you help your buyers win. And so we've got a quick overview on a framework, and we are packed with specific actionable items that you can start taking out with your buyers this afternoon. As we get into theory, one of the first things that we wanted to show is wisdom from someone who has just announced their retirement this week. Someone who is 94 years old and has led one of the most successful companies in the history of the world to create value, Warren Buffett.
Ford, as you may know, failed twice before he started the Ford Motor Company in 1903. I mean, the test isn't whether you get the greatest business idea in the world the first time out. The test is whether you keep learning as you go along what your strengths are and what you can do for your customers, what you can bring especially to the party. And to do that, you need a genuine desire day in, day out to delight the customer. I've never seen a business, and I've seen a lot of businesses, but I've never seen one that delights the customer that doesn't succeed. I mean,
That again, master of a gentleman that has created over 5.5 million% growth for his company. And his key message there was delight the customer and improve every day. One of the foundations that we're talking about today. Paige, anything that you'd add yet to Warren Buffett, or good to go to model number 2?
I think you're good to go to model number 2, although model number 1 is probably my favorite.
It is. It is. 3 ways to add value, specifically when you think about people in the real estate profession and how you're helping buyers. And again, this is one of the best frameworks building off of what Warren Buffett said. And the key message is for each of the 3 most important things that you're doing as a buyer's agent is how do you refine this message every day? How do you measure the value that you're bringing? How do you consistently improve that value? And how do you communicate it in a way that resonates with the person that you're speaking with? Number 1, and again, when we go to benefits, it's time, right? The way that we've articulated that is I save you an average of 75 hours for every 5 homes you consider. And Paige, why is it so important when you talk to different buyers on how you're able to specifically benefit them and save their time?
Well, like we're going to talk briefly about the three ways to add value, and time is one of those critical components because it is the one thing that has no monetary value and you do not know how much of it you have. So when it's gone, it's gone. And for most of your clients, we talked about sort of coming into this is how do we help our clients save them time? Their time is valuable. And they probably, as much as they love seeing homes and being with you, they probably don't want to spend every Saturday for the next 4 years riding around in your car. I mean, maybe they do, but they probably don't. And what most buyers think is they assume that realtors spend less than 15 hours on the transaction with them. They don't really understand the amount of time that it takes to schedule a showing and what's all involved. And the I would call it the daisy chain of you schedule one showing, you talk to the listing agent, then they talk to the seller, then it comes back to the listing agent, then it comes back to you, and then you get to do that 17 more times for a run of show for the day. There is a significant amount of time that we spend, but we don't often articulate that to the client. So imagine if that client didn't have you on their side, how much more time it would take them to do the same job less efficiently, right? So the value that you bring them is that you are saving them a significant amount of time and they can get their life back.
Number 2, I save you money. Mattress Mac, obviously, you can probably hear his words in your ear as you say, I'm going to save you money, right? It's the same message that you want to refine, measure, improve, and share your value. What we're able to articulate is right, thanks to our 14 proprietary buyer systems, We can save you 3.9% on the purchase of the home versus the average agent. Paige, saving money is obvious. Saving
Saving.
time is a key benefit.
Yeah.
What's the third one, right? What's the third way that real estate agents add value?
The third one is that you protect them against unnecessary risks that they don't even see. Right? Most people, again, if they've never purchased a home or never had a situation in that process, they don't really understand all the pitfalls that could happen. And because we do such a great job making it look easy on TikTok and on a 30-minute television show, they don't actually understand that we are the best insurance policy they can have to protect them when they're purchasing what is most often their largest asset.
Great model to follow through. Time, money, and risk. Paige, what's the power of great questions?
Well, if you don't ask the questions, you don't get the answers. And what most of us spend the time doing is asking a surface level question and getting a surface level answer and then being fine with that moving forward. The more strategic you are and the depth that you are willing to go and truly understanding what is important to your client, to kind of get back to the first model, these all tie in, right? Of the obsession about what does my client care the most about? The deeper I am willing to go in that conversation, the better I am able to help my clients meet their needs in a time frame that it exceeds their expectation.
Now, Paige, it's hard because how do you know in the moment how to ask the right questions?
Well, the thing that you can't do is you can't ask the question in the moment. You have to spend your time practicing in advance. We had a dinner party last night, and there was a bunch of folks sort of Bob and my age sitting around the table. And we all laughed and we said, what did you do when you went to your first interview? Well, we went in the bathroom and we practiced in front of the mirror and we said what we were going to say and watched ourselves and been like, ooh, that was bad. I need to try that again. Right? That's how we learned how to smile for the annual pictures that you had in the yearbook. If you all will not spend time practicing your craft outside of the conversation that you are having with your client, and instead you're practicing your craft only when you're with that client, you are missing an opportunity to be smarter, sharper, and better than the average bear. And those people that practice their craft so that they can really have powerful, impactful conversations with their clients, you can see that in the results. And ultimately, where you see that is you see that in their client reviews.
It's a big one. It's a big one. Okay, so now we're getting to the heart of it is, right, how do you take the tactics of it's important to delight the customer into daily practice? So 5 tactics we're going to give you. Paige, what is the value of having a tool to listen and ask better questions?
Well, it gives you a starting point, right? Instead of holding everything in your head, having a tool is sort of like having a cheat sheet. I always, when I was in practice, always had a notebook and had all my questions written down. And no one ever said to me, well, why do you have to look at your notebook to find out what you want to ask me? I have a list so that I can concentrate on listening and not what I'm saying next. Most times in conversations, we are so focused on what I need to say next that I don't hear what they say. So, a listening tool, whether you use ours or come up with your own, it doesn't matter. But knowing what you need to ask to get the information and then drilling down what we call 3 levels deep. What do you want? Why do you want that? And why is that important? So, Bob, if you wanted a new house and I said, what do you want, Bob? And you say, I want a new house.
Paige, I want a new house in the Heights.
Why do you want a new house in the Heights?
I want a new house in the Heights because it's going to give me a good commute to downtown.
Oh, that's interesting. A good commute to downtown. Why is a good commute important to you?
Good commute is important to me because I'm currently living in Katy and it takes 45 minutes of my life each way. And I'm not getting the time that I need to see my family each day because I'm in the car for an hour and a half.
So what I'm hearing is that really what is important about this move to the Heights is that it enables you to have a better quality of life with your family to spend more time. Is that right?
That's exactly right.
So if we just said I wanted a house in the Heights, we would not have really understood that the family and the time spent with the family is what's most important. So when we're looking and talking through homes, if all I did was just show houses in the Heights and not also understood that there's more factors there, then I'm not really servicing my client to the level that I'm obsessed with, right? If I'm not willing to ask three deep questions, means I'm not obsessed with my clients and I'm not obsessed with my customers, which means I can never achieve that status that Warren Buffett talked about.
And that three is a minimum, right? The three activity is in that you're going to go want to go deeper because obviously a question like that, you can unpack a lot. But if you go what, why is the minimum standard for every time somebody says something and your buyer is giving you information, you're going to be amazed because then you're going to realize if they are ready to move, if they're not, why they make the decisions they do later on. And most importantly, you're going to have the ability to hear them to add value to the situation of where they really are. Okay, tactic number two. I'm actually going to start out. I'm going to go back to imagine a dinner party. Imagine you're at a table with six people. Imagine right in front of you is a magnum of Stromsburg. Stromsburg is one of the tastiest champagnes that are out there. You look a little bit to your left, you see a rosé bottle, also empty. You look a little bit to your right, you see a red wine bottle, also empty. And it's at the end of the dinner party. As we're about to leave this group, we've had an absolutely lovely evening. Paige says, here's what happens next. We're going to plan the date for our next dinner party. And the beautiful thing about that is because we've had such a lovely time, we want to see the group again. We know that we're in the situation where it would be really easy to leave and not plan. But because Paige has the habit of here's what happens next, we plan the next time to get together. Again, really easy and simple with friends, but the key is it's got to become an ingrained habit.
That's right. What he didn't tell you was also the ingrained habit was there were two Excedrin taken after that wine. This is incredibly important because it will feed into what we're going to talk about next. Your clients are hiring you to lead them through the process. And if you don't lead them, they're going to lead you. And if they lead you, then you're not in the level of client service. You are doing nothing more than just being transactional. And you are constantly on your back foot trying to get back ahead of the curve. So when you meet someone for the first time and they say, well, yeah, it sounds like Paige, I'd like to hire you. My answer is, I would love to work with you. Here's what happens next. We're going to send you some paperwork to review and get your autograph that allows us to go see homes on this Saturday. How does that sound? Right? I've laid out what happens next. And at every time I leave them, I say, here's what's going to happen next. Right? We're out on a Saturday. We've seen every house in Rice Military. We're sweating through our t-shirts. They want a cup of coffee. I've got showings after that. It would be easy to hop in the car to say, I'll get back with you guys later and we'll talk more. You have to take the time to say, here's what's going to happen next. When I get back to my office, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. But right now, real quick, will you pull out your calendar? Let's look at the next time that we want to go out and see houses. I know we haven't identified what those homes are yet, but I would rather have that time held on my calendar for you than you need that time and me not have it. Great?
And I would just want to double down on that. And I'm going to say the same thing in two different ways. The opportunity for customer delight and service is about setting expectations and meeting them. The opportunity to improve is about, again, setting expectations, being accountable for those expectations and exceeding them. The best way that you have the opportunity to set those expectations is at the end of every conversation. Here's what happens next. Get it calendared, your single most powerful accountability tool, and then do something before you told them of what happens next.
But this is an example of actually using this tool to save you and your clients time. Because if they understand what is expected next, then they are not wondering and wandering around in the desert looking for an oasis because you didn't provide a path. These are incredibly, incredibly small words that mean a lot to guiding through the process.
And again, not only in real estate, but also in life. Okay, Paige, Warren Buffett talked a bit about constant improvement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not, again, about the best idea on one magical Tuesday where it shows up, but instead it's how do you build a process where every day you're getting a little bit better? How do you use the like best next time for showings and key moments when you're talking with buyers?
Yeah, I'll talk from the showings perspective, Bob. You can talk about how you utilize it in your everyday life. Um, when you leave that home and you've just shown the house that has, a hole in the ceiling, but a phenomenal backyard, when you walk out of that house with your clients, you say, okay, what did you like best about that house? Even if they didn't like that house, there's going to be something about that home that they liked enough to want to see it. What did you like best? I like the backyard. The backyard was phenomenal. If I could find a house with a backyard like that, I would buy it a million times. Great. Next time, what do you want to see that we didn't see here? By doing like best and next time, I'm refining that search as we go along, house by house, instead of finding out 4 weeks into the tour that I've been showing them homes that don't really match their criteria, but they haven't taken the time to functionally think through why the homes we're seeing don't meet their requirements. So by doing this, you're actually having a mini therapy session every time you're with them at every home so that you can save them time in the long run by shortening the amount of houses they need to see to refine that palette for what's best for them. If you don't have this, then what happens is they go home and they talk to each other, and they may or may not tell you what they're looking for because it just may not cross their mind. And because you're not having the relationship by getting deep with the questions like this, then they pop up 4 weeks later and say, "Hey, I'm buying in Sugarland." And you're like, "What? What? I thought we were in Edo. What happened?" Right? If I asked everyone on this call, all of us, including me, can raise their hand and say, how many of us have had clients that they bought something that is not even close to what they said they wanted? All of us, right? But if we had played the like best next time, we could have potentially gotten them to understand that the Sugarland option, because the yard was important, was way better than Edo. And we could have ferreted that out in about a week and a half instead of spending 3 to 4 weeks when they didn't think that I cared enough to guide them to explore other options. That's why this is important.
And this is also a phenomenal tool to draw out the level of how do you improve? Because the nice part about starting with like best, it's an easy foray in of what do you like that's good? And next time, it's a much nicer way than say, hey, give me some harsh feedback so I can improve.
Mhm.
Okay, what's the next tip?
I love this one.
And I think, right, here's the situation you say is, okay, here's what happens next. I'm going to call you and we're going to talk about what we can schedule for the weekend. But what happens if no properties come up that are going to be worth that buyer's time?
Well, I think there's a variety of ways to use this. And those of you who attended Caroline Ho's class at KW Memorial, she talked about this. This was something I implemented in my practice that was almost revolutionary in terms of being able to guide clients and give them the care. Again, if I say, here's what's going to happen next, we're going to hold next Saturday at 10 a.m. so that if things come up that you want to see them, I have time. On Wednesday, I'm checking in and saying, okay, there has been no updates to what we want to see on the search. We're still going to hold that time. I'm going to check in with you Friday at noon. If you don't hear from me before Friday at noon, it means I don't have any update for you. If there is an update in between now and then, I'm going to provide that for you. But otherwise, please know I will be in touch Friday at noon. So Friday at noon goes on my calendar. This is especially critical once you have submitted an offer. To the nth degree, if you use it nowhere else, use it there. Because how many times have you submitted an offer and then your client reaches out to you and says, "Hey, have you heard anything?" The moment your client has to ask you, "Have you heard anything?" it means you have failed them in giving them the service that they deserve. What we typically have learned to do is to say, "Sue, I've submitted that offer to Jan this evening. I'm going to be signing off here at about 8 o'clock. It's 6:30 now. If I hear something between now and 8, I'm going to reach out to you. If you don't hear from me at 8 o'clock, it means I don't have a response yet. Don't worry. I will be in touch with you first thing in the morning to let you know if anything has come in overnight." 8 o'clock comes, I've heard nothing. I actually step out and say, "Letting you know, I'm signing off for the night. Don't have any updates, but I'll be in touch at 8 a.m. in the morning to let you know what I hear." 8 a.m. comes. Jan's still mucking around and her clients haven't reviewed the offer. We've all had that, right? Because they had to put the kids to bed and the plane was delayed and spaghetti was stuck on the ceiling and they didn't have time to review this precious offer. Meanwhile, your buyer is laying in bed worried all night about what that offer is being perceived as, and they are making up every story in their head. So the next morning at 8 a.m., I'm like, "Hey, haven't heard from Jan, so I don't have an update, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to reach out to Jan this morning. I'm going to find out when they're going to review offers. If you don't hear from me by 10 o'clock, it means I don't have an update for you. But I want to put on your calendar noon today because I'm going to call you at noon so we can just touch base, right? I don't have an update and then I give one. If you will say, "I don't have an update," and I'm giving you a no update, your life will become so much easier because you are guiding your clients. Your clients are not pushing back on you, asking for the information that you deserve to give them anyway.
That's excellent. As you said, revolutionary because then you also avoid the 10 p.m. or midnight phone calls and the weird text messages.
Yeah.
Paige, what's the advantage of trying to get ahead of some of the big questions, right? Especially, right, what is the advantage of why you might want to review a sample offer in a buyer strategy session rather than show them the offer when they have to make it?
It's the same thing as saying, what, practicing what you're going to say in the moment. You're going to flounder versus getting ahead and understanding how things work. These are complicated documents. Explaining an option period in the moment can be daunting and hard. Explaining a financing contingency and an appraisal contingency and how all these details work. What's the seller's disclosure? How does that fit into this? Oh, you're in a mud. What does that mean? If you're able to spend some time with your clients ahead of time educating them, then when they go to make offers, they are going to feel a lot more confident, one, that you know what you're doing, and two, that they understand the choices that they're making so they can make wise decisions for themselves. No one, including any of us on this call, likes it when documents are shoved in your face in the moment and you have to sign something and you're not sure what you're signing. This gives them the opportunity to review things in advance to feel confident about the information so they're not wondering, "Am I doing the right thing?"
Especially true for first-time home buyers, and especially true in situations where it is likely to be a competitive situation.
Mm-hmm.
Paige, again, key takeaways. Mindset, how do you consistently get better every day? And how do you delight your client?
Mm-hmm.
Number two, for real estate agents, your key value is save time, save money, mitigate risk. If you ask great questions to figure out what matters and why that matters and why that why matters, and you're able to articulate that value in ever improving terms, you're going to be amazed at how those first calls and those first strategy sessions are so much better than anything you've lived in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Your key tool for asking better questions is preparation. Again, I know that that sounds really trite and really easy, but the amount of agents that actually commit to daily script practice is minuscule. We recently brought on somebody to our team. We're going through the daily script practice. Within 1 week, his message back to Paige was, never in my career have I had this level of feedback on my calls. And it is amazing the impact it's having after 1 week. When you do that for years, your business will be so much different.
Right. It's the same thing like going to the gym, right? The first time you pick up a weight, you're probably not doing it great. But if you commit to a practice and you commit to client service and you commit to your craft, you're going to want to do these things because if you truly have a heart for helping people, these are the tools that allow you to help them more, right? They're not sales tactics. They're not trying to get them to make offers so that you can sell them something. These are tools that allow you to help your clients at the top upper echelon levels that most agents never think about doing. And this will set you apart from everybody else in the field.
Paige, I know there was one more bonus that you wanted to share today. And right, the
Yeah.
reason we have that guide up is because we've seen, especially at parts of the high-end market, that there are a number of our buyers that are losing out on homes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
Off-
this is sort of a tricky situation, right? Because if you follow the news, um, and you're looking at our and you're attending our market updates, I mean, it is a balanced seller's market for most all over Houston. That is not the case, which is why we talk about the importance of niche markets. Understanding what those look like are incredibly important because the last thing you want to do is tell your clients, hey, it's definitely a buyer's market, and then you show up at West U and you don't understand why everything has multiple offers and you lose every time. You do want to have the conversation with your buyers that they may be in multiple offers. Even in markets that are sellers markets, homes that are priced well, look beautiful, have all the check boxes. The next door neighbor might be sitting there for 120 days, but this one for some reason has four offers. That's something that you need to have the conversation with in advance with your clients that they may experience that and that that's not abnormal when you are dealing with homes that are highly sought after, regardless of what type of market they are in. And then prepare them that if we are in that situation, we have two decisions to make. One, are we going to play or not? And two, if we play, do you want to win or do you want to place? Right? Because I'm just trying to place means I'm not really going to get that house. Do I really want it? Is it worth going through that? And those are the conversations that you need to be having because inevitably you might very easily walk into a market that's a seller's market and experience that your clients are losing houses.
Well, obviously that leads into our next discussion, which is on May 22nd for a market update and how to be able to use that information to build on what Paige just said. And the other thing that we've been asked for a lot is, hey, I'd love an opportunity to meet you, love an opportunity to meet the team. Also on the 22nd in the afternoon, we've got an Ask Us Anything meeting, and you're going to get an email with details. The address for that Ask Anything is at 250 Litchfield, which is a really neat new property as part of a group. And we look forward to seeing you there.
Thanks for spending the morning with us. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.